Hi guys, I'm ExactChaos and welcome to Cities Skylines 2. This is something I've been waiting for quite a while. We've been playing all these kind of games on the channel. I certainly was a big Cities Skylines 1 player, lots of mods, lots of traffic, lots of things like that. And so I've been very excited waiting for this one to come out. It's obviously come out a couple of weeks ago already. And I've been, just dabbling with it a little bit to just make sure that I kind of know what's going on, but very keen to jump into a game, kind of a real proper playthrough for the first time on the channel. So very, very welcome to that. And I would, as always, love your support through a like or a comment, or just an emoji or anything just for some engagement. Are you as excited about this as I am? Now, getting into the game, there's also been a lot of interesting discussions around the performance. Some people love the new terrain tools. Some people hate them. There's a lot of kind of love and kind of hate for this game at the moment, and keen to see what we are going to do with it ourselves. Obviously, I like the kind of like as per the workers and the resources playthroughs and some of the other Cities Skylines playthroughs that I've done. I like the functionality, not so much the aesthetics. So I don't kind of pretty it up to be the kind of the nicest looking, most realistic looking city. I try and get a bit of function out of it. So let's have a look at what we've got over here. So these are the maps. I believe I've got San Francisco due to buying the ultimate pass or something like that. That's like a DLC kind of thing. But let's have a quick look. So there's a variety of things that you can see in here. Firstly, there's a standard kind of theme, but I don't think that matters too much because on all the buildings you can kind of select a theme yourself. Then we've got climate. That's quite an important one that we can see over here. It's going to start, it's either cold and wet and things like that. So lots of rain, obviously, on this map here. Where if we look at something like that, again rain but slightly warmer. Then we've got something that's a little bit colder. All North American or kind of European style, but I don't think that matters too much. Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, I think again that just has to do with the climate. Then it kind of gives you an indication of the buildable area that you'll have in the city. So obviously there's lots of mountains in some of these. There's something like that's only got 21% buildability, while this one has lots of buildability. These maps are absolutely huge. What it also has, it kind of tells you what kind of outside connections you have. And with this one, you can generally build some additional outside connections. So it's not always, I think, that important. I don't know which ones you potentially cannot do. But I've seen kind of people build up to the edge with the road and create a new highway connection, for instance. So not sure that these matter all that much in the end, but obviously just know what the region kind of starts with, and if you're specifically wanting shipping routes, make sure you kind of pick one that has that. Now then it also kind of indicates to you what natural resources there are. So fertile land, forestry, you can add forestry, I believe, but the others you cannot. Then some ore and some oil in the area as well. Okay, so let's quickly have a look. I think the snow kind of puts me off a little bit. So I don't want to necessarily play with the snowy map. It just makes it hard to see, it looks very different. And I don't think it adds that much to the gameplay, to be honest. So I might pick something where we have a pretty temperate climate, where we're not going to have that. And I'm going to predominantly build like a North American style city, probably. More the kind of suburban sprawl kind of setup, just because I like playing with traffic, and there's nothing that generates traffic like this low density suburban sprawl. Okay, so I think that's probably the one we might go for. This one's not too bad either. But I don't necessarily like all the islands. I like the idea that there's a little bit of interest here, that there are some islands we can deal with and others. One thing that I'm definitely going to be interested in is doing multiple little kind of towns on this. One big city, multiple towns, maybe, something like that. That's a little bit too cold. That's too cold. That's too cold. That's too cold. That one's too cold. This one's too cold. They're all pretty cold. This one should be okay. San Francisco. Might not see us get lots of of snow, but maybe I'll come back to this one a little bit later. That's going to be too cold, and even that's going to be too cold. So I think Barrier Island is where we're going to make a start. We can see a fair bit of oil available on the map. Maybe we'll do some oil industries. Definitely we've got a little bit of everything else, lots of buildable area. So let's jump into it and see what we've got. Oh, before we do, please leave some suggestions for the region in the comments. Do that now. Tell me what you think we should call this now that you know it's kind of a bit of an island vibe there. Royston, Glenville. Let's start with Glenville as a bit of a starting point, but then let's go from there. I'm going to disable tutorials. I've kind of gone through that already. We're going to stay with right-hand drive or right-hand traffic. We're not going to unlock everything. We're going to kind of have a predominant North American theme. All of that's pretty good. Let's start the game. Now, again, as you can actually switch between North American and European style items as you go. It loads pretty quickly. People have been talking about the performance, but I'm not too fussed by it. It's an interesting starting location. Let's pause the game while we quickly have a look. We'll zoom out and have a look at our region. So these are our starter tiles. I believe that's 9 tiles that you see right over there. We've got some multiple islands over here. There's some outside connections. There's lots of areas here. I've reduced the level of detail a little bit. So if we zoom right in, we can see it's a pretty nice looking area. But I did definitely, I mean, look at the water. It looks really good. It's definitely less cartoony than Cities Skylines 1. But I have reduced the detail. I'm pretty sure there's tons of people that's got much better detail out of it. I haven't upgraded it to my PC in quite a while. I might do it for a game like this, but not straight away. Lots of people have been commenting about the fancy new mechanics with regards to highway and interchange building. That's something we're definitely going to get into. Okay, so this is our starter tile. Let's have a bit of a look at what we can see straight away. We don't have pollution, but if we have a look at this, we can see we've got some underground water aquifers. And we've got directional water flow. Not a very strong directional water flow. If we look at air pollution, we'll probably see some wind. Do we have a wind speed is not necessarily great for us. I don't think we can see wind speed properly here, right? Oh, hang on. If we switch off everything else and we just have a look at wind speed, do we really have no areas on this map with even remotely better wind speeds? Oh, here we go, the arrows. So over here we've got some good wind speed. Our starting location, not bad actually, not bad. So wind may be a form of power for us. No, I don't think so. So as you can see, at least they give us proper guidance over here. If we go, they don't actually tell us. I know we can't build it here, but they don't tell us what we would get over there. But yeah, so wind certainly not going to be that helpful to us straight away. But anyway, let's have a look at this. So if we were to, okay, hang on. Let's just go back. If we were to, we need to think of what our power source will be, where our industrial area might find ourselves going. So we've got wind coming through this way. We could do industrial, I don't know, somewhere in this corner over here. Let's have a bit of a look at fertile land if we can. Don't know if we can. Ground pollution, not telling us much there. So a lot of these things are still not quite unlocked. So we've got a bit of a challenge on our hands with that. Okay. So water is really the only thing we know at this point in time. If we have a look at industrial zones, again, it just kind of tells us that groundwater. So at the moment, we still need to unlock a few things before we actually start getting into things. Now, let's have a look at the road. So at the moment, we don't have a lot unlocked. This game, I love the progression of this game. I've dabbled with it a little bit, but certainly there's much more to be had in this game. So we've got a few starter roads here, and definitely we need to switch on the contours. We can see this area is nice and flat. So I think a few things is let's let's run an industrial area maybe to this side. To this side, we may also do a bit of a port. There's actually the port may be useful somewhere over here. If we do a port on that side. So maybe we'll see about getting a little bit of industry going on this side. It is quite interesting that we've already got this little gravel bridge, and we may maintain that as a bit of a park kind of situation, or maybe just a handful of small developments there. But yeah, so here we can see we've got a pretty strong ridge and hill here. I'm going to try and respect topography and things as best we can. We will be doing terraforming. The new tools are excellent for that. But as a starting point, there's lots of snapping that we're going to have to learn to get used to. So we can turn off on and off all the snapping. We can snap to existing geometry. We can snap to zoned cells. So let's switch off everything and we go there. Is that snap to zoning cell length? Ah, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's not quite what I had in mind. If what is this one? Snap to 90-degree angle. So we will need to kind of switch on a few things. What is this? Snap to guidelines. Oh yeah, guidelines is slightly different. Snap to buildings. That's a cool one. I'm very keen on looking at that. And snap to zoning grid. So if we do this, we've got the zoning grid straight away. So we can basically snap to this grid and try and maintain. And then can we do that? There we go. So we'll at least do 90-degree angles on that. But anyway, let's start off. So we've got the straight tool. We've got the simple curve. We've got the complex curve, which I think adds 2 points or a middle point as well. And then we've got the continuous, which is kind of my favorite because that means we can stick to the topography pretty nicely. Now, I think one thing that I'm going to do is we're going to have a pretty big road that runs up and down the corridor here. So I think as a starting point, I might take the straight tool just a bit and we'll see about running maybe something like that. I want to do pretty nicely like that. So that's a starting point there. That's going to be our continuous. Okay, now let's get the continuous curve going, and the idea would be that we kind of just run it through here. So starting point is definitely let's get our kind of road network going. Ooh, what was that? Okay, now our main road network, just so we have kind of the bones to kind of work with. Okay, so that's our kind of main arterial through the island. The question is whether that is sufficient. I don't want to zone on this one per se, so we may always make that bigger as we go. This one, we might have to upgrade a lot over time as well, but the idea being that we would like to give a little bit of interest here. So let's try and slope like so. We could aim for that area there, really. Or we could try and go through here. Let's just see how hilly this actually is. Yeah, this is really the spot where if we're gonna go through, we're gonna need to go through that way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do that. So we've got a funny angled intersection there. Let's just keep in mind. Cancel that one. Okay, I'm gonna trim it back a little. We're gonna get a little bit more aggressive with that curve on that angle. So let's zoom it in. Start it there. Give it a little straight section. We'll turn it out, not too badly, and then we'll kind of run it in through here. I think that'll be fairly interesting as a bit of a starting area. This could be a pretty big intersection at some point. And now what we can do is we can kind of do a bit of an interesting grid alongside this. Now we'll be playing some level of grid, not massive grids, I think. But we'll definitely be doing some level of grid. Oh, and the other thing that I'm also pretty keen on is let's do, at least as a starting point, let's snap to, we'll snap to everything at the moment. Well, let's snap to nothing, and then we'll snap to a 90-degree angle there. So if we do this as a starting point, and then we'll go continuous, and we'll kind of just hug this area here without getting too close to the water. Now we can go under, or we can just tie in. I think we might go under. Let's get straight again. Oh yes, the other thing that people are quite that's been quite divisive is the idea of the trees that grow so slowly. So here we go. We're under there. That's pretty good. I like that. Nicely done. Now, in order for us to get somewhat reasonable grids, so we can definitely zone on this. And so the idea would be for this straight section here. So I do like that. That's pretty cool. But I kind of wonder whether we might have gone a little bit too far and that we need to grid it up a little bit first, just to make sure we've got a reasonable sized area. Now, if we were to, the grid tool itself can be used. So if we do something like, and let's just then snap to grid as well. If we do that, we can do kind of a grid style this way. I don't want to do that though. If we do, let's actually start off by putting our first one maybe over here. So we'll just tie it in like so. We'll get our first additional road to kind of run through here. I want to maintain the 90 degrees there. And then what we'll do is we can slowly turn it in to that side. But I think that's the general idea. Now let's try this as a bit of a grid. See, there we go. That's a pretty reasonable grid. What is this grid size looking like? I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the grid size. It's that's interesting. I basically need it to be, I don't know what I need it to be. Let's have a bit of a look, play around with what this grid size could look like. I'm just going to go straight shots at the moment, and we're going to snap to the grid. So if we go, well, that gives us a full complement of 6x6. I don't necessarily think 6x6 is a good starting point here. So maybe a 90, much smaller. We'll do his area small, and then we'll go from there. 90 by, hang on. So what is this? It's not actually telling me what the length of that is. Let's 120. 160. Let's do that. Let's do a 90 by, well, actually, we're not going to be able to do that. We'll have to check our guidelines. So if we do 160, right? And then, so over there, oh, now we'll need to snap to, there we go. That's what we want. So 90 meters here, actually. What's the size of this thing? Let's just have a look. If we were to find ourselves there, so over there is 56 meters. Okay, so 112 will be our full grid. So what will that be? 48. So we have to do it in increments of this. So 40. So 80 is what we're going to go. I think we're going to do 80. Yeah, I like that. 80. Is that perfect or not? So that's certainly not perfect, right? At the very least, it should have kind of tied in. Now, what we can do here is we can use because we can't switch off zoning, we can do something like that and see what that actually does. But again, it seems like it's not quite 90-degree angles. So let's try that again. Okay, so basically we want, oh, and now I've deleted everything. So what we'll basically do is we'll say, up to about there. If we just switch on all the snapping, what does this do? It doesn't actually tell us. Well, it says 90 degrees. But something like that, I think, is reasonably sized. There we go. By 80. There we go. 80 by 160. I like it. I like it. So we'll keep doing that basically. So let's just go 160 and 80, 160 and 80. Yeah, that's getting a pretty nice grid in there. Okay, we'll leave it like that. Now, can we now do grid snapping and kind of run it up here? Ooh, let's not do that. If we were to, there we go. So 180, yeah, so there we go. That's the one that I'm after. Right? There we go. What is this? It's obviously done something funny. Let's see. So now let's have a look at the replace tool. I believe the replace tool will be able to... Really? Just give me the replace tool here. What is this? So it's done something really funny here. Because of, oh, it's done a bit of a loop. Look at that. That's completely not what I had in mind. Anyway, so there we go. $90 and 90 degrees like so. And if we were to bring it down like that, that's beautiful. So that gives us a little bit of a grid as a starting point. And now what we can do is we can, of course, just kind of build a second area over there, or we can maybe even tie in an area over here. So something like this as a bit of a starting point. So we've got our main arterials. And now the idea is we do something like that, and we give it a bit of a 90-degree kind of almost angle there. Now I'm interested in doing slightly different grid over here, and we'll go here. And this is going to be our starter section, I think. So what we want to do is we want to probably run... let's try the parallel tool. So now we've got a parallel tool, right? And if we were to... okay. Not sure what that actually means. So if we were to then say a complex curve, okay, let's do it on this side then. I want to try and see if we can't. So that, I like that. Can we build it? They don't actually want to allow us to build that. And if we do replace, no, that's not going to work. So we'll have to do complex curve and then try and get it to... No, anyway, we'll just forget about that and just do complex curve without the parallel tool. We'll give ourselves a little bit of room there, and we'll do our best to try and kind of maintain it a little bit in here. There we go. And then I'm going to tie it in over there. That's pretty good. Similarly, we will be able to tie it in on this side. We definitely want to get maybe one more access point over here somewhere. We will need to try and straighten it up as much as we can. Let's do a straight section at 90 degrees. Over there. Yeah, I like that idea a little bit. So let's do something like that as an access point a little bit closer in. So that gives us some direct collector roads that ties into our arterial network. And similarly over here, we might not actually get any closer than that. And we might see how we end up opening up that area a little bit. From here, I'm going to do a little bit of a grid yet again. Probably in the center. You know what? Let's see about that. So if we go in the center for about, how far is this? For about 80. There we go. It's my 80 mark. I keep losing it. I want to see the 80. That's the 80. Ah, so this one is a bit smaller. Oh, did I not? A little worried about. Yeah, we might have to play around a little bit with that. And 80 again. I like this slightly smaller grid over here. I think it's going to generate a fair bit of interest for us in this area. If we do 90 there, I want to be very sure to keep 90 over here as well. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one for us. And then what we might do is we might have a slightly larger block or two in this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do straight up to about there. Actually, if we do the simple curve, we should be able to find ourselves. Ooh, actually, that's probably not right. If we do, hang on, simple curve. Come on, got a bit of an issue here. The button. So if we do that. That's not quite what I had in mind, and that's not 90 degrees either. Anyway, we'll start doing that again. No, we definitely need a little bit of this at 90 degrees. See, now we're snapping to too many things. Let's just snap to 90 degrees. Yes, that's the one. So we'll do that, and then what we'll do is we'll... So let's do that. Give it a little piece there. And at the same time, we'll give it a little stump on this side too. No, don't do that. I want it to be perfectly 90 degrees. A little stub there. Now let's try the, what is this one? This is the complex curve. So let's try and get a bit of an S-bend going here. If we do that and then... Oh, it's really only getting you into the middle. Can we get the... Is the guide... Oh, this... Can we get the guideline? There we go. That's the one I'm after. There we go. That's perfect. So we'll do a bit of that. Ooh, it's not that quite perfect on this side. Why did it do that then? It's interesting. So it's a little bit of a playthrough, right, guys? I've dabbled with it a little bit, but it's certainly not an easy. So that is quite. So this gives me a slightly more complex S-bend, which I like. That's cool. So there we go. So now I've got a slightly more complex one in there. These can be slightly larger kind of utility style blocks. And what we'll do is we'll just extend what we've been doing on this side to the other side also. So again, I'm going to grab the straight tool here. We definitely want the 90-degree angle. So as soon as we've got 80. Wow. Struggling with 80. That's 90 degrees. So we'll do that one there, that way. And that one that way. Again with 80 over here, 90 degrees this way, and 90 degrees that way. I like it. I like it. We'll need to clean up the zoning. So what we'll do is we'll do the little path trick on the other side there. But certainly it seems to be pretty good this way. Getting a pretty nice little grid. That's not really a grid, right? And go up to 80 here, go 90 degrees and go that way. That's pretty cool. And we may or may not tie that one in. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then what we could do is we could disconnect one or two of them, make it a little bit easier to deal with. But now we've got a slightly more interesting grid to make a start on. So that will be our starting point. I'm going to try and keep these episodes not to get them to go too long, but let's at least look at what our so if we wanted to, we could do, we're definitely not doing wind, but we could do coal, which is a pretty good starting piece for us if we wanted to maybe do that. So that's one of the options. We could do coal. We'll have some interesting traffic situations with this road network the way it is. But I think this is a good starting point for us. I'm going to try and keep these episodes at about 45 minutes or so, and try and get a fair bit done each time. So there we go. So that's going to be the starting point for us. So the first thing I would want to do is get utilities underway. So the first thing we would need some water. So if we're going to do a little bit of industrial here, we might do, almost tempted to do a little bit of industry over here on this island. Maybe, and then if we dump, oh, geez, we really can't. If we wanted to dump some stuff out, we probably needed to get the sewage outflow to happen probably over here, if anything, to try and make it move along that way. We'll try and fix it as soon as we can, at least. So this one, there we go. So we'll get the sewage outflow pipe going there, and we'll just connect this straight up to our road network over there. There we go. So that should be connected. It doesn't need much more than that. We need some water at the same. We need some water as well. So water. Will we pick up our water? Let's pick up our water. Maybe right over here. I think that's. If we push it back into about that area there, I think that'll be a pretty nice little spot. And what we can do is we can grab one of these little alleyways. So this one needs a road connection. So let's just get ourselves, I do like myself a bit of a continuous tool here. Let's snap it to the building. Let's snap it to the side of the building here. There we go. And just tie it in like that. There we go. So now we've got a little alleyway, Hemlock Lane going, or a little laneway going over there. Could be a bit of a park in this area, but now we've at least got water and sewage, and it should be all connected and working. Now let's have a look at the contours quickly. Can we? I'm thinking this area over here for a bit of a power plant. So let's just complex curve it away. Now I'm happy to have the power plant on pretty close to this little section here. So what we might do is we might just grab a road connection off of this, probably at a 90-degree angle if we can. And I'd like to do it pretty straight if possible. So if we do a 90-degree like so, it's quite nice and flat in this area. We could always, that road could always then curve in to go. Don't have the continuous tool going. Could always go in there as we continue to expand. So Summit Street over here could be the spot where we do our power. I think I'm going to do coal. It's not that pricey. Actually works quite nice in this area. Don't mind having it up against the river there. Actually looks pretty reasonable, but maybe we'll push it a little closer here, so maybe we can still kind of define that water's edge. And we've unlocked our first milestone, which is the tiny village. So I haven't done anything here. Progression works through the kind of stuff that you build. Predominantly you get like experience points or progression points for all the infrastructure that you build, but then also for kind of happiness and population expansion. So what did we get? Got some extra money. And it's this, you don't run out of money that quickly in this game, or at least not what I've seen in my kind of initial tests. We've got a development point, and we've got some 3 expansion permits, which is great. Now we can already start growing the city a little bit bigger. Let's have a look at what we've got. So now we've got an increased load limit. We added some extra map tiles. We can have a look at the city budget. We can have a look at the city statistics. We even have medium density row housing straight away. We've got some additional roads, more 4-lane divided kind of roads, and we might upgrade straight away. And we've got healthcare, a 4-lane tied arch bridge and things like that, healthcare, death care, and garbage. Now, you don't need to provide this straight away. The demand will be there straight away, but you don't need to provide this straight away because people can, or healthcare, death care, and garbage can be provided from neighboring cities. And that's kind of something that you'll start seeing. Now, here's the development points. We've got one development point. We can start using it on a variety of things. At the moment, available to us is using it on the roads, on electricity, on water infrastructure. We can't actually afford that. We can use it on, getting a crematorium or a hospital, which we can't afford, or maybe getting an incinerator plant or recycling. But again, we can't use that. So for the most part, I'm just going to save these things. The one thing that I would like to do is grab the advanced road tools. That's just something that's so useful straight off the bat, just so that you can manage things appropriately from the start, including making things look a little bit nicer. So I'll unlock advanced road tools and we'll go from there. So now we've got a fair bit of stuff going on, but that's really the starting point for us. So we've got this one over here. It's looking pretty good. It's not, it's nice and flat in this area. Nothing is looking too funny. We do need to kind of tie this in though. If we wanted to, okay. Something that I think would be interesting is for us to actually distribute stuff. So that's outside of the city network. So if we were to just get it across there and then run it alongside the water here, we won't be necessarily building alongside the water, not immediately at least. We might go underground with all of this stuff, but for the time being, these cities, so we can effectively play around a little bit and say, well, this city was developed around a small piece of electricity infrastructure, something like that. So we've got that going. So now that's tied in. We will have electricity in in our town as well. We can clean this one up a little bit later. So there we go. That's our starting point. Now let's have a bit of a look. Did we want to tie this one in? I think maybe we'll just leave that as is. We could definitely, so these green dots kind of indicate we've got some additional things that we haven't looked at. So here's the advanced road tools. Now we can build a road maintenance depot. We can add and remove traffic lights, stop signs, turning bans. We can add or remove crosswalks. We can add, what is this? This is a wide sidewalk or grass that removes parking, by the way, or we can plant some trees or put some street lights on there. So that's pretty cool. We've got access to some new roads, one-ways and the likes over there. So that's pretty cool too. In terms of zoning, we see a bit more high-density row housing available. We've got a medical clinic and we've got, there's some death care there too. In the form of a cemetery is what we've got access to. It's something that we probably need to look at. It might deserve a bit of a feature in our town. And I'm kind of tempted to put the cemetery out here. Wouldn't that be interesting? So we've got a nice little cemetery island with a park. We can do maybe one or two little things. I think that would look pretty cool. And I don't mind having it out there with a bit of a gravel road. So what we'll do, let's trim this road back just a little bit. 4 lane. And we'll give it a bit more. No, it's overlapping. What is that? Is that a laneway? Doesn't seem to want to do... Doesn't want to do the gravel, does it? Really? It doesn't want to do it? That is really interesting. It is a gravel road, isn't it? That's definitely a gravel road. That is definitely a gravel road. I would like to maintain it if I can. So let's just start it off with a bit of a road connection off of the main highway or the main arterial here, and we'll give it a little bit of of that area there. And then what we would like to do is we'd like to tie this together. So if I go there, and oh, hang on, that's not going to work. This should be tying to it, right? Let's just get all the snapping on just in case. I'm going to trim it back again. Sorry, I've been messing around a little bit too much, haven't I? But anyway, I do like it. Oh, so now the snapping is causing us problems. We would like to at least try and center it from here, right? Actually, let's do the grid. I think that's the one that I'm after. No, it's not. Is it this one? That's the one. Okay, so now we've kind of got its starting point going. I'd like to do a little bit of this. And then I would like to... I really can't tie that in. That is weird to me. Can I page it up? Oh, there we go. That is super awkward. Oh, it's a laneway? Oh, that's a laneway. Okay, so maybe that's the issue, right? Let's just go back down to this. Is it? It's probably that one there. Okay, that's the one. Let's replace that little section. Okay, we'll do that. So that's been replaced. That looks okay. What we'll do is we'll replace this one to be nice and centered as well over here. And then we'll try and connect these two up. Let's just connect to something. To the existing... there we go. And this is our complex. There we go. That looks a little bit better. I like the fact that you can now do something like that. Now, it does look a little bit funny over there, but now Fawn Lane looks a little bit better. We've got that going on to the other side there, and I think we will do the cemetery piece on this side. So let's quickly get the cemetery in there. It'll be there straight away. Happy to kind of have it in that area. Let's just have a look at this. Yeah, it's fairly flat. That would even look a little bit better if we just do that. So there we go. We'll get the that one in there. It can always add some extra stuff in there, but that's going to look really good. And I think that's going to be it's a bit of an interesting area of effect there. Okay, so the one thing that we have left to do is kind of zone things out a little bit. So let's do a little bit of zoning. I am going to start off with some proper residential zoning. So we'll just do a lot of residential zoning over here. We'll leave this area open for like schools and things like that. We need to do a little bit of work over on that side of things. And what I thought we might do is we might just paint in. So there's some different varieties of things that you can do. I'll leave a little bit of a gap there, and then we'll start painting in some stuff over here. So now we will have some commercial stuff popping in there. This will need some workers straight away. And let's switch it on, see our very first people arriving. And that's kind of going to be where we end the first episode. So a lot of bit of road structure, but I think we need to do proper planning before we go any further. This road now has some room, so we can expand into something better. We can even do a bit of an urban style interchange here in the future if we leave enough room around this, which we will. We'll leave enough room around this one. Also, maybe to this side over here. We can at least move things. And here we go. Our first people are arriving. We should see our first citizens. We're going to definitely provide the required healthcare as well. But yeah, basically straight away we've got some people moving in, and we'll try and work through our demands as best we can. That guy's not connected, so let's quickly just make a look. So what you see is that these guys generally struggle a little bit with connectivity through bridges. Okay, so we'll connect those two together there. Does that now not have? Yeah, there we go. We can add some buildings onto this. You can have a look. Most of the buildings have some nice add-ons. So we can do something like that, or we could do something like this. And I think this area would look really nice with some of these things added to it. Just a nice little interesting area. And I know it's next to the power station, but anyway, that's going to be all good for us. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. 45 minutes per episode is kind of what I'm going to be aiming for. I'm going to hopefully achieve a lot more in the future, but I hope our city looks really nice as we continue to expand along this journey. Yeah, that's just the we've got the difference between, so you can theme North American or European style zoning as well, and we'll have a bit of a look at that in the next episode. I do need to clean up some of our zoning blots over here, which I will kind of show you in the next episode, and then we'll continue to expand. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please hit that like button. Tell me what you think this region should be called. Tell me what you think this town should be called. We'll have multiple towns in this area, so if you want to get a town name in, or a port name, or a little island name in here, please tell me in the comments, and we will add them to the game as we play through. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.